Hello all, welcome to the Sociologist. Today we are going to discuss a topic known as patriarchy, which is very important with respect to sociology paper 1 as well as paper 2. Also with respect to with respect to paper 1 itself, there are chapter on stratification as well as a chapter on family. In both chapters, the idea of patriarchy and sexual division of labor is very important. So let's explain what is patriarchy in the initial. So as everybody know that Indian society is basically a patriarchal society. So what do you mean by patriarchal society? As you know that in a patriarchal society, male is having more power compared to female, right? Or men has a more power compared to female. So patriarchy is nothing but it is an authority structure in which male dominator over female, and which all spaces they will dominate. They will dominate all the sphere. When you look at they will dominate all the sphere. For example, religion, there will be, you can see a male domination. In the state you can see a male domination. In family you can see male domination. In public places you can see a male domination. So patriarchy is nothing but a male dominated world. It is an authority structure. So there is an hierarchy. One particular gender is having an upper hand over the other type of gender. So such a system is known as patriarchal system. So as I hope you understand what is patriarchy. So the origin of patriarchy, with respect to origin of patriarchy, there are two type of different type of theory. Especially one theory is that many scholars believe that patriarchy is completely natural. That means it is a naturally originated. That means by the nature itself, woman and or male and woman has a separate ability, and they have a separate role should be allocated to both male as well as the female, because their ability itself is different. And this patriarchal structure is not created by people, it is naturally evolved. As the human species like us naturally evolved, the patriarchy is also naturally evolved. So that kind of theory is known as natural theory. And another set of people believe that it is a biological aspect, how patriarchy is emerged. So as per the biological theory, what they believe that when you look at the biological aspects of male as well as female, the ability of male and female are different. Male is kind of a more masculine and female is kind of a feminine, and male can do more physical labor but female cannot do much of a physical labor. So because of that there should be a difference, and female are dependent on male for for breadwinning role and physical labor role. So there should be some kind of division between gender. So that's how the patriarchy emerges. That's what the biological theory believe. And some other kind of theory believe, for example, functionalist perspective believe that this patriarchy and all very naturally evolved. But Marxist perspective believe that especially Engels and all, they says that patriarchy is a concept actually reinstated or propagated by capitalists to ensure that further exploitation of working classes. But feminist view completely says that it is kind of male created world and male dominated world for their own benefit to subjugate females. So before going to all this aspect, let's understand what is the definition of patriarchy. The patriarchy is nothing but it is an authority structure, as we have discussed, woven around men, which keep the woman subjugated to men interest. So woman is subjugated for the interest of men. There is a hierarchical aspect in the patriarchy. So remember that definition. So when it comes to the origin of patriarchy, as we discuss, especially the functionalist scholars like Durkheim believe that patriarchy originated naturally, or the differences of biological differences is a natural occurrence, and it is kind of a division of labor, or it is acting as a natural division of labor within the family structure. So they are not having any problem with the patriarchy. They believe that this is a natural origin and this is how the society is originally evolved. And as well as functionalist perspective, as I said that especially when you see the functionalist perspective, especially Parson, Talcott Parson believed that patriarchy is a kind of a system which is emerged based on the natural basis. And you can see that in his theory he divided the family role into actually two roles. One is instrumental role and another is affective role, affectional role. So instrumental role will be done by male and affectional role or affective role will be done by female. Okay, so what is instrumental role? Instrumental role is nothing but a breadwinner role. So the breadwinner role is allocated to male as per or Parson, and affectional role, which is an emotional role or sentimental role. So emotionally you are supporting the other members of the family or your husband or the male, so that is considered as a female role. So job allocation within the family was actually based on gender. So that is why many feminist scholars call family as a sexist institution, because it is debate job not based on the ability of a person to do that particular job. Rather, it is the based on the biological differences or gender differences. So that is why family is called as a sexist institution by many feminist scholars. So person that can be clearly seen that how functionalists see patriarchy, because they see it's a very functional and it also has a positive function to the society. As we already discussed, Talcott Parsons see it is kind of a naturally occurring, and the role allocated in the family is divided based on the this gender based. So when it comes to the feminist scholars with respect to patriarchy, this is very important scholar called as Salvia Balbi. So Salvia Balbi has her work is known as the theorizing patriarchy. In 1990s, the study has been done in 1990s. Okay, theorizing patriarchy. So for her, she defined patriarchy as a system of social structure and practice in which men dominate and oppress women. So here, not only men dominated, men also oppress the woman. So Salvia Balbi considered as the institution of patriarchy is a considered as an exploitative institution. And she further says that there are 5 ways in which female or women are oppressed or exploited by male, that you can see in a different aspect, especially when you see the first aspect at workplace, woman being exploited at workplace. You know that there is a sexual harassment at workplace is happening, and there is also a glass ceiling in the society, right? After a point, a woman cannot promoted into further posting or higher level management. Women are not allowed to reach, so that is a glass ceiling. And there is a also gender disparity in payment. So there is no equal pay for equal work. All this is considered as a sexual, or all this is considered as a harassment and exploitation of women at the workplaces. In domestic life, when you look at the domestic life, there is also, you can see various aspects of exploitation of women. For example, in domestic life itself, there is a domestic violence happening against women. There are marital rape, which is not which is not criminalized in India. So marital rapes are happening at the domestic level. Also, there are various other violence. For example, there is a double burden or triple burden of women. If a woman wanted to work, woman has to complete the household work first, then only she can go for work. And she also has to find her own time. When you look at the time use survey, women are spending more time at house compared to male members. So they are having the burden of caregiving roles also. So their domestic life is considered as an unpaid work. So they are not getting any payment for their work at the household. So their domestic work is considered as unpaid work, and they won't be getting any paid. It is also glorified as a duty. So it is kind of an exploitation of women by the men at the work or at the domestic level. And when you look at the state level also, there are different aspects of violence from the state perspective. As you can see that state itself recently passed a maternity benefit act. So as per the maternity benefit act, what state did is that it is actually increased the maternity leaves for women. But by doing that, it is actually unintentionally saying that the child caregiving is the sole responsibility of women. So again, reinstating the idea of patriarchy. Or you can also see that at present the parliament, the women MPs are only 14%. Though we have passed a women reservation bill, we are yet to implement that particular bill. So we have to wait for the census. Not only that, this particular bill introduced around 2010. It took a very long period to implement such kind of a reservation bill, even though that reservation bill is just again only 33%, not 50%. So state even propagating patriarchal ideas, that is a kind of exploitation happens from the exploitation by male under state institution. As an institution of religion, there also Salvia Valby says that there is exploitation. As you can see that priesthood is actually reserved for particular priesthood actually reserved for male only. Female are not allowed to become the priest. And though there are some incidents of in Tamil Nadu, women become the priesthood, but it is not widely accepted by the society. Or you can also see that women are not able to enter into mosque. That is again an issue. Or the recent, Shabarimala cases also, though the court even initially accepted, the women are not entered themselves, or the religious people are not allowing women to enter the temple. So all these aspects shows that even religion also subjugate women. And you can also see that there are various aspects of violence against women. There are in public, there are many rape cases are happening in India, and the rape cases itself is in a rise when you are comparing to last 5 years. Also, there are digital violence, women being harassed, bullied in the online platforms. So all this aspect, as per Salvia Balbi, all these dimensions, women being exploited by male. So that is why Balbi says that patriarchal institution is an authoritative structure dominated by male, and it is for the exploitation of women. And Valby also distinguished patriarchy into two aspects. Okay, and one aspect of patriarchy, she said that patriarchy is kind of a private patriarchy as well as public patriarchy. So, what do you mean by private patriarchy and public patriarchy? So, private patriarchy is kind of a patriarchy which is happened at the domestic level, where, for example, you can say that in a personal relationship or in your own household, you've been treated as a secondary person, or you are being subjugated. So the patriarchy means, private patriarchy is nothing but the division happens within the household. You've been treated as a subjugated by male within the household. You won't be having any voice over decisions in your own household. And in a relationship also, you won't be the dominating decision maker. In the household itself, you have to dominate, you have to focus on caregiving jobs and all. You are not having that freedom to go for kind of a instrumental or breadwinner role. And in a pub, that is called as private patriarchy. On the other hand, what is public patriarchy means, the institutions in the public, for example, that in general the state is against women, or the completely state is completely male dominated. 14% of MPs are only female, so it's kind of a male dominated world. The institution is kind of a male dominated. All other institutions, religion, state, even family, all the institutions, even the administrative wings, everything is dominated by men. So in public places also, female is kind of a facing patriarchy, as well as in private place also, female or woman facing patriarchy. So such a patriarchy is known as public and private patriarchy. So the problem here is that woman has to face both the patriarchy. She is subjugated at the home as well as she is subjugated at the public places. Or objectification of woman is kind of a public patriarchy. So in both aspects, there is a dual burden of patriarchy on women, and there should be a collective response. This kind of a collective patriarchal response by the society against women is considered as a patriarchal aspects. So as we have discussed so far is the ideas of patriarchy. So next video we will come up with what are sexual division of labor. So sexual division of labor, just as an introduction, as you know that the work is divided based on gender rather than the ability of the person. So that is known as gender division of labor. So we'll come up with the next video. Thank you for watching.